Ari Aster's at it again and frustrating me like usual. Let's talk about Eddington. I just also want to kind of show off this shirt, and it kind of captures what Ari Aster kind of does for me. Ari Aster is a director that I had a lot of faith in after I watched Hereditary. I thought that was a brilliant horror film with some great performances, atmosphere, and direction all around. But then we got Midsummer, and then Beau is Afraid, and all of those films kind of devolved into just movies that, at the end of the day, just want to deliver some type of shock with very to little no nuance. Eddington, on the other hand, when this film started, I was all in. I was taken back to COVID era 2020, 2021, where there was a lockdown and people were masked up and the streets looked barren. And I did feel like you were isolated and alone, and some of the things were kind of hypocritical, but at the same time necessary for, what was happening at the time with the information that we had. So I thought that was a brilliant idea to make this movie a social commentary on the events that happened during COVID and then shoot it like a Western, but with cell phones. And I thought that was a really cool concept. The cell phones being the new guns, because you can kind of destroy or end somebody's career or life just basically by posting something. And this movie has like a political race that it was trying to tackle. So I thought it was going to be a really nice, interesting, and clever commentary on our political climate and how we kind of got here with some of the tensions and the denials and some of the theories and all that sort of stuff. And of course, like, Ari Aster didn't take any hard stance one way or another. He was playing both sides and making fun of the more extremists on both sides. And again, as a movie, you don't really need to take a side. You just have to kind of make what you feel like you want to make. And I thought for the most part it was interesting and I was kind of here for it. But then the second half happened and it kind of devolved into something that lacked nuance. It didn't really have a focus. It didn't have a clear or any type of understanding what it was trying to do. I feel like it was a movie where you had this really cool idea in the beginning and then just didn't know how to continue it or go on. So you just throw a whole bunch of fighting and guns and conspiracy theories, and then you just make your hero even more pathetic than he already was. And it just kind of devolved into something that lacked nuance and didn't really have any real direction. It basically lost a plot towards the end of the film. There were several moments throughout the second act of the film where I was shaking my head, waving my hands. I was like, what is going on? And why is it becoming so silly and devolving into something that doesn't make sense? Or it's trying to bring in all these like political ideologies into the mix without actually having any type of real voice or perspective or any real reason for it in the film. Like, in the beginning, you kind of saw the rise of the tensions of the race disparity that was happening during this time and the protests and how they kind of started out small and then just became this big wave of things where there were agitators in those protests that were creating more hysteria than there actually was. So I got a really good sense of it for the most part. And then in the second act, you get all these like conspiracy theories and Antifa stuff, and it was just such nonsense. I couldn't buy into it. It didn't really make sense. I mean, it did in the context of the film, but at the same time, it just did not provide any type of nuance or commentary that it was trying to do. So at this point, Ari Aster is a director that I've come to expect this from, where the first act is interesting and creative and is trying something ambitious, and then the second act just usually devolves into shock value and little to no nuance and not a complete way of knowing how to finish your film. Not a terrible watch for the commentary, but again, it's not worth your time.